Hi, I am Esmael Gillis and this is my podcast Esmael's World. I started working with renowned hair artist Gianni Scumaci, organizing seminars in Belgium and working with the best hairdressers in Belgium to bring the unique approach of cutting hair from Gianni Scumaci. All leading hair artists share one powerful characteristic, a strong desire for progress, growth and personal development. And this is what you will discover together with a community of forwarding, striving professionals to experience this journey.
How long has it been since it's pandemic time, right? I think since we...
No, we had one in between. I think it's now about like a year and a couple of months ago.
Well, it's so much. Yeah, that's right. I mean, there was a long gap before that one, wasn't there?
A long gap before.
I mean, there's been so much has happened. I think that, just going back to the pandemic briefly, the GS brand has evolved immensely since then. Obviously, the world was in a different place, and we had time, and I was very fortunate with family members and myself that we were our health, although certain things happened, our health was all okay, because that's not the same story for everyone. But since then, obviously came back, saw you, and then since then, the real acceleration has happened. So I do 4 different areas. The GS brand, the GS brand covers 3 areas, and I've got an extra business as well, separate to that. So basically, just to paint the picture of the brand itself. So there's 3 elements to the GS brand. There's the salon element with clients in a salon. There is online education, and then there is live in-person education. And so starting with the salon clients, I travel back to London now every 2 months for 10 solid working days. And I'm in the salon with real clients, clients that I've done for 28 years, nearly 27 years, I think. And, I'm back to back doing 13-hour days, as we all know what that's like behind the chair. I love it. It is tough. It's intense.
We all know what you're talking
We're
about.
all in the same boat. But I wouldn't change going back into the salon, and never have. That's critical. And it underpins everything. And really where I create, because moving on to the online, the second portion, we created the online and expanded it during the pandemic. And then since I've seen you last, we're now in over 90 countries in 3 languages.
In 3 languages?
Yeah, so that's
amazing.
Really been exciting. My wife Sylvia, she's the smart one, and she transcribes, translates, and then narrates. So this is in English-speaking language, which is the one that I cover, and then we're in the Spanish-speaking world. So that covers the entire Spanish-speaking world, of course, and Italian as well, because we're obviously based in Italy. That's where I say it's obvious, but I'm based in Rome now. That's another progression from London, and so that's the huge progression we've made and transition, and it's narrated, it's not subtitled, which has made a huge difference, because we really care about how people learn, and frankly, that's it's for people to be able to concentrate on the haircuts and the information and listen. We're hitting different senses. And then the live education, which is the 3rd area of the GS brand. I created an academy, which I had done from before when I saw you, but we've expanded it now. So we're taking larger classes into the academy space. And I have this academy space, the GS academy space is in Italy, in Lazio, in between the mountains, which is very close to where I live, where we live. You can see Umbria from the distance, and it's very nestled away. And we have had people from Australia, from Mexico, from North America, both the States and Canada. And we're just about to take a very large class in the next month. So we're really excited. So that's growing as well. So that's the GS brand. And then I have a second business and a 4th section, which is an app called Mimo.
Correct.
That's not a GS brand necessarily. It's not part of the GS brand, but I am fronting that in the face. I'm very excited about that too. But so it's been a busy time. Luckily, it's been a very busy time. Very
I can
grateful.
understand that, hearing you telling that story. So if we can move to the online program development, so moving to the online platforms has been a game changer for you. So what inspires you to launch an online program, and how did that evolve the need or needs of your audience?
Well, that's a really great question. So the truth of it was that we have currently we offer two cutting courses. One is called Discover and one is called Create. So the Discover is more the foundation. And I actually put that together and filmed it in 2015 initially. And I had a film crew. We were in London. There was no expense spared. I had the mannequin heads flown in from Japan. And the reason I did that, and to answer the question directly, was I've been very great. I'm very grateful, very, very lucky in my career to have been mentored and taught by lots of different people. But a few have been exceptionally influential over me as a person and as a hairdresser. And one of them was a man called Takehiro Omura. And he was Japanese. And he was like my big brother. And when we met at Vidal Sassoon, and he was a technical genius.
That was in London.
In London, absolutely. Sorry, in London back in 1995, which will give my age away a little bit. Okay. And Taka, we were very close, and he moved back to Japan, became the most famous hairdresser in Japan. It has a fantastic brand called Dada, and an academy there, and a salon. And I used to go out and visit him and spend time with him. I had this overwhelming sensation to go and spend time with him. And when I did on one of the occasions, he let me know, I'm cutting a long story short, but he let it be known that he wasn't very well and his health was suffering and he had cancer. And very sadly, we lost him. He was only 43. So it was extremely emotional for me. And I decided, as a part of a grieving process, I think, looking back on it, if I'm really honest, which I'm still grieving really, but it was a real homage to him. And so what I did was I had a huge poster of me and him together, which I have in my studio, and I had it blown up giant, and we had it overlooking in the studio while I was filming. And then I filmed all that. The reason I had the heads from Japan was because they were the heads that he used. And I used the scissors that he gave me. Okay. And, the whole thing was to put down on film what he'd given me. And that was the technique.
An homage.
Yeah, it was a homage to him. It was not a business decision. I can tell you it was an absolute fortune to do. And I had no social media following at that point. So it was really an emotional decision, if I'm honest. And we filmed that. Then just as I had finished filming it, I got run over by a car in a car park and didn't work for a year. So that gave me time to edit it myself and teach myself how the process of filmmaking. And eventually, we decided to launch in 2000, I think it was 16. Or 17, I think. It was a bit of a blur because of the injury. And we launched. But, it was, people had interest, but it wasn't a viable business. It was just ticking over. Come the pandemic, I decided to answer the question of how we really pushed it was, then I thought, I have all this time, how am I going to spend it? So I invested in camera equipment. It was anti-intuitive because, of course, nobody had any money because no one was earning and I was spending. But I decided to teach myself how to become that film crew. And I decided to be the one-man band and film myself. And that's how, and then I got the social media following by that point. And in 2021, I think we really started to push it in February. It was this time in 2021. And we pushed it. And that was the Create course. And that's what continually evolves. So that's the story behind it.
So it's an amazing story. Didn't know it's so nice for you to share it with us. And I can imagine you would have a lot of challenges, because when you go online, you have to teach yourself. You're the one-man band. You have to get all this new knowledge, how to use the technology, everything. So when growing a brand comes always with a challenge. Can you share some obstacles you've encountered of how you could overcome them? How it made you pursue and made you stronger to continue?
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges in an online business. Yeah. I remember spending a whole 2 days filming a haircut. And I was
whole 2 days?
Yeah.
One haircut?
On one haircut, yeah. This is during the pandemic. And because I was learning about it and, I dropped the hard drive and lost it.
No.
Yeah. It was soul destroying. Yeah. So that taught me basically to do that in a different way. Yeah. And, that was a clear, obvious challenge of my own mistake. But lots of challenges. There's the preparation, there's the technology. There was a lot of lighting testing, a lot of trial and error. And I'm very hard on myself about, one of the key things that I wanted to do is if I wouldn't create it behind the chair in the salon, so if I wouldn't create it behind the chair, I wouldn't put it in front of camera to share. So all the techniques that I do are actually my clients. Every technique that you see on a mannequin head are actually one of my clients. In fact, the working title are the names of my clients, although we don't reveal those to the public when they subscribe. So they're very relevant to real hairdressers. But in terms of challenges, we moved to Italy. I had to rebuild the studio from scratch. Then I had to build another studio, so there was finances. And then we had lots of things. We had the marketing and the sales. The challenges that come with that. And actually, what we found was that the commitment of then feeding it, because of course we release one every month, and it's of a certain quality.
Yes, and you have to keep that up.
We keep that consistent.
Make it better.
Absolutely.
Consistent, yes.
And so the second part of your question, which was to meet the needs of the ever-changing needs of our audience, we're super excited because we get great feedback, and we also get feedback where people request. So we've got some exciting things I might reveal later on in the conversation. But that's really what it's been. I've been very hands-on, and it's really been, I've just brought 1 or 2, 3 people around me, and I wanted to be frontline. I did not want to hand this over to another team. So that's why I think it was important to stay, like I would with a salon client, very much emotionally in tune with the people that are essentially subscribing and are members of the GS Online family. Because to me, I treat them just like I would a real client. Although it's virtual, my approach is very much, I want to be understanding underneath what people need and where they're at. So that's the approach.
That's the approach. Amazing also, because so Gianni, your vision for the future, if you looking ahead, so what's your vision from your brand soon, if you look at from where you started, where you're now, and where you want to go?
Yeah, so the evolution from when we started to now has been very humbling. It's not something, if I'm being honest, I expected. When we first started, it was really to earn some money during the pandemic to support the family. We just had a young baby at that point. Yes. I was married, just newly married. So it was really just working it out as we went. Now we're in a position where it's quite a viable business, and so we're thinking, where can we go next with this? So to answer your question, I think in the future we are, we're already doing it. We've actually rolled out an affiliation partnership program globally. Now we're in different languages. We are partnering with other hairdressers that we affiliate with us. So basically, as they will earn as they share. Yes. And that's, one of the things that people believe in, the quality of it. I always wanted the quality of the product to be of the highest standard that I could, and really be timeless. So it's not really on trend. It's really about being timeless and things that can help people on a daily basis, every day. I recognize that hairdressers in general use 3 or 4 techniques maximum, and they vary it because it's a security blanket. But I really wanted to expand and break that. That's my goal, is to really expand the repertoire and confidence and self-esteem of hairdressers through these online techniques and tutorials.
So when you talk about those techniques, so how do you put them down? What's your vision behind it, and how do you think an online client would use them or take advantage of knowledge, get knowledge out of it? How does that exactly work?
Yeah, so that's also been something I've paid very close attention to because of the attention span of this generation. And I don't just mean the generation of age and age demographic, but I also mean just the times we're in and how we receive information. People want it quicker and quicker. So we have made the tutorials, I was very clear to make the tutorials anywhere between 17 minutes and 28 to 20. We never exceed 29 minutes, basically. And the reason for that is that what we found is that a lot of hairdressers, a lot of our members, and we've had feedback, they watch it in between the client being shampooed when they need refreshing on how to do a technique, or before the client comes in, or on the bus or on the train. So it's digestible. So this is really a step-by-step guide. Originally it was done as as a protection of the investment of the live courses. When people come to me live, they can go home and rewatch this. It refreshes.
Yes, exactly.
They're not having to be concerned about being in the class and what did he say, what was that? I forgot that section.
Yes.
But actually, what we found is that has been incredible, and the participants love it. But it's been the opposite. People come to the live sessions because they've seen the online, and because they've got the half an hour's worth, they want to expand on that, and that's what it's there for.
It's nice that you can combine the two systems, because you get a full learning experience that way.
They complement each other.
Yeah, they complement each other. Exactly.
And they go hand in glove. And I've been to certain. I remember going to Apple when I had a problem with some of my technology, and I said to my team, "Don't worry, I think I booked half a day with one of their professionals, and it was a one-to-one private. I paid for it and booked myself out. He was fantastic and solved more or less all my problems. And 2 to 3 days later, I went back to the team, thinking I was Steve Jobs because I knew all the information. And I looked down at my notes and I could only remember 2 or 3 points. And I did think to myself, wow, does that happen when people come on my course? Because I give them a lot of information. And all I wanted in that moment was a video of him telling the team what he told me. That would have been so much easier. And I think I should do that for my own participants.
Very good. You solved it.
Well, we're working on it.
Yeah, you're working on it. That's good. So in the meanwhile, when you see all that work that's happened until now, there's also been some evolution in your personal life. So in the meantime, you got married. Yes. You got a daughter.
Yes.
So your journey to both you and your partner to become parents has undoubtedly influenced your professional path also, I think, isn't it? So
yes.
So how did that work for you, for the both of you, of course?
Yeah,
yes.
That's the kind of $24 million question, isn't it, about balance and
Yes.
And I think balance is always is a very dangerous word to use, because it sets an expectation that's not necessarily real. Mm-hmm. And if you want to really pursue something, balance isn't always what's necessary. You need to be slightly out of balance.
Yes.
To achieve something. But for me, I'm very family orientated, and you're right. Yes, we have our daughter and my wife, and so. First of all, we made the move to Italy from London. That was the first thing we did 6 months after she was born, during the pandemic, as I referenced. That was a game changer in terms of, for us, quality of life, but also having support with family in Italy. My wife's Italian. I'm half Italian. Yes. And I was very clear that I wanted to be very present for my daughter. And I had been traveling extensively before that. So the pandemic was helpful because I couldn't. But once we could again, that's why I built the online business and the academy back in Italy, because then people would come to me and I could spend more time. But I think the best example of how it's influenced me is that I built my online studio at home, and we're lucky we have some room in the basement, and I created the whole basement into my creative studio space, which has different elements to it. It has like a library section, and then it's also we have like a screen with like a cinema section where I can see visuals, and then we have a place where I can create in there. Yeah. And I purposely put the film area with the lights and where I physically cut hair in front of camera directly above is where our kitchen table is on the ground floor. And because when I'm working and I can hear my daughter running around, I'm very aware that what I'm creating with my hands in front of camera is responsible for putting food on the table above my head. And there's no greater motivator than that. Yeah. And so that in a way has
the driving force.
That's a huge driver for me when I'm stuck. Because we live in the middle of mountains, and I'm on my own downstairs in my studio, and I've got 5 mannequin heads looking at me.
Yeah, of course.
needing creating, and I'm thinking, where do I begin?
Yeah, they don't tell you anything, no.
Find out where you can get them to talk. I'll take all the help I can get. So having that upstairs and having my daughter there is a huge motivator to create.
Yeah, there's much about to do. We also experience the whole time and hear it also about work-life balance. If I can join you on that, for me it's more like being on work-life choice You make that choice or you
Yes,
don't,
right.
and there is consequence.
Yeah.
So and that's where you have to walk through.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very good way of. That's a great way of seeing it. I agree with you. And there are consequences for whichever choice you make, but that's life, isn't it?
That's life. Yes.
But I'm a very glass half full, so I would hope that my daughter hopefully picks up a message of work ethic as well when I'm not there.
But
I'm,
it's example. We lead by example at the end.
Absolutely.
So it's the only thing we can do, because they won't do what I think, they won't do what we say them. They will do what we do.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, that's what I'm early days. I know you're much more experienced as a parent than me, but that's what I've noticed. It's choices, as you say.
So you can surely say it's a big influence on personal growth. It has nothing to do with professional work, and still it has a tremendous influence on your personal growth. And that personal growth also affects or influences your career, highs and lows, like everybody. How did that contribute to your personal growth? What lesson did you really learn about yourself along that way?
From having the family?
Yes, and integrated it into your business and having that creative process you have to develop and undertake the whole time, because it's a whole process, isn't it?
It is, and absolutely. I mean, it's been fundamental to my personal growth. I mean, I'm always trying to become the person I want to be, and I'm hoping one day I'll get there. But I think when you're responsible for, whether you have children or not, or anyone else dependent on you, I think that as you grow, or as you pass through time in life, growth, you either go one way or you go the other. But if we're talking on growth, that's for me, being responsible and, handling pressures, handling stresses, someone has become, there's an agenda far more important than my own, and correct. I serve it. That's what I serve. And I think that underpins, and it's amazing actually when you become slightly uncomfortable and slightly out of your depth, where the magic is. Yeah. That's where the magic really is. Comfort is not...
no, it's not where it happens.
It's not where it happens. No. And I think it's important to be aware of when we are comfortable. Yes. Because it's like the frogs in the boiling water syndrome, where it's just slowly 1 degree gets more and more, and before you know it, you're comfortable, and then it can be too late. So it's always trying to keep a little bit on the edge, and being responsible for other people, I think, is a much greater motivator than being responsible for myself.
It's about also being committed. It's commitment also. I think in the end.
That's a great way of saying it.
As we look forward, what are you committed to personally and professionally, let's say in the coming year? Specific goals or projects you're passionate about? Yeah,
well, professionally, let's start with personally. I mean, personally, I'm planning on, she's actually, my wife and daughter have already come with me. I was in Switzerland and Milan last week, that order, and they came with me. So that was fantastic. And so sort of, my daughter's now 4, so I think it's expanding things that I can expose her to with music, instruments, and various other things to really, she's a very curious young girl, and I really feel responsible to sort of pique that curiosity more. Yes. So that's one of my ambitions, is to push that. Now she's at an age where we can go down that road better, more in a more concise way. And I think my fitness, I'm taking my physical fitness a lot more seriously. So now I'm on a special nutrition plan diet. It's not a diet, it's a food plan. Okay. And I'm, in the gym now with a personal trainer 2 times a week. I'm pushing it to 3 times a week in between travels. So that's going to be a goal for me on a personal level as well. So I think just being a stronger person for my family to be around and be more positive, even more positive. I think I'm positive as a person, but I'd like to become.
I'm sure you're very positive.
More grateful. Is really where I'm at personally, and then professionally. It's pushing the businesses that we spoke about earlier. Yes. Particularly the online. One of the things that we have noticed is that our churn rate, which is the rate that people stay with us, are actually dropping. So people are staying a lot longer with us as the heart to hand library that we have grows.
Yes.
And it's been quite evident. And one of the main things for that, for me, was that one of the things that I really believe in is that when you study a great technique for the second time, it's not that you see something that you didn't see before. It's that you see something in yourself that wasn't there before. And for me, that is pivotal in inspiring people to expand who they are and look at themselves. I don't want people to be me. I want them to be them. If I can help them along that path, then that's fantastic. But that's really my goal, is to encourage and expand and develop the self-worth of a hairdresser globally through the products and tools that I can create and use the platform, whatever that is that I have and experience. So that's really my one of the professional goals I have. Of course, the academy space, I want to expand for larger classes, which we've spoke about. And Mimo, which is our non-GS brand product, but it's a salon app, which is designed to really support the salon hairdresser in engaging and valuing the relationship between themselves and their clients, or should I say also getting the clients to value the relationship they have with their stylists. And essentially, in a very short sentence, it's a sophisticated little black book for hairdressers to make visual and audio notes on each client. So they can take imagery, they can take video, and they can make audio notes. And it's a 97% transcription, so you can speak into it and it will write it out for you. So it's very quick in between clients on the salon floor when you don't have any time, because which hairdresser has time? But what this does is you got all your clients in one area, and it protects the salon owner, so they have full data protection. But it's designed to be on the phone, so every stylist has it, and they can then record everything they do with their clients, so they can actually give a 6-star service, really, and remember the nuance. So, I mean, that's a whole other project in itself, but we're just launching that now. It's very exciting.
I think it's exciting, yeah.
That's global, so we're really happy about that.
Because the hairstyling industry is ever evolving, so you have adapting to the industry change is what you're doing with Mimo, I think, because it's a big adaptation for us as a stylist or professional to be in the salon all day, all the time.
Yeah, hairdressers tend to think that they have great memories.
It isn't.
But this tool paints a very different picture.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And it not saying that hairdressers don't have great memories, but they don't serve them as well as they could, or they think they could. Yeah. And so this tool it's a game changer. It's quite a fundamental game changer. Yeah. So we're very excited about it.
Okay, nice. Maybe we can talk about that more in the future, Gianni, because I would certainly love to hear more of it. Really. I think it could serve us all very well. So I have a specific question which we can add to that is of course the hairstyling industry is ever evolving. We know that it's always been there, but how do you stay ahead of trends and continue to innovate?
Well, I don't really believe in trends. I really don't believe in trends. Okay. I think trends are important for commerce. I understand the business needs of trends and how people need that in business. But I've never believed in trends or been interested in trends. Okay. Not that I didn't believe in them, but I can see patterns, but I don't buy into them. They don't interest me. So I don't really stay ahead of any trend. What I try to do is just evolve and push myself.
Okay.
And by doing that and me growing, I tend to find that helps the people that I'm around. And I take the people that are around me, it's a two-way street. I often grow from them. And, if there's anything they can grow from me, then great. But it's really about just me pushing myself, but always staying uncomfortable and pushing myself. And I think ultimately, my dad said something to me when I was young, and he said to me when I was at school, and he said, he didn't really care what grades that I got at school. I was about 14, 15, 16 actually, 15, 16. In the UK, that's when you did your first set of big exams. And he said to me, I don't care what grades you come out with, what the results are. All I do care is that when you go home at night, you did your very, very best. And he said that when you go to bed, it doesn't matter if you're with whoever you're with, your partner, your pet, whoever, or on your own, nobody knows. Only you know.
Exactly.
And that to me is, I've always, and I'm not saying I always get it right, I'm not perfect, far from it. I make mistakes all the time and I'm trying to learn, but I am always questioning, am I doing my best? And I do try to live up to that standard, which, I think I'll never get there, but I will certainly have a good go at trying.
Yeah, you don't give up. You keep trying. And it's also what I should, maybe you can also clear your mind about that is, and give an advice for aspiring hairstylists, because finally, what advice would you give? Okay, so if we can continue on that path, and we will talk about advising aspiring hairstylists, the younger generations, which nowadays are in a much more complicated world where they are living. They have a lot more contents and information coming through them, and it's my feeling also it's a little bit more difficult for them to orientate correctly and put their focus for a longer time on something, and also getting them motivated to pursue a dream or pursue a goal. In the meantime, being useful. So when you have that self-worth, and you have a feeling that you did something that's contributing to your life or the people around you. What's your advice? What's your view on it, Gianni, when you look at it?
So I think that the word you used in there, which was pivotal, was focus. And I think that it's, it's not the fault of the generation, the younger, I'm using the word younger generation, yes. Depends how you want to define it, between 14, 15, 16 to sort of early to mid 20s, yes. Just being generic. I think that it's within the context of the hairdressing industry, I think it's partly the responsibility, because it's not their fault, it's partly the responsibility of the more experienced generations to come and meet them a little bit further over their side of the bridge, and then expecting the youngster to come over to their side of the bridge. Because when we grew up, and I'm saying I'm in my mid to late 40s now, I'm 47. We had to cross the bridge. We had to cross a bridge. Yes. And I think that's one of the key things that we need to get clear, due to the way the world is now and attention spans and everything else. I think that there's a responsibility on the shoulders of a different generation to cross their bridge and then hopefully try to bring them back over. How do you bring someone back over? Well, you hold their hand. And I think the way to really inspire a younger person today is to ask them to question what and why it is of what they want. And if that can be, that's not easy. I'm saying this like it's easy. I understand easy subject. No. And I'm not saying I have the answer, but what I've noticed is it's the way they're communicated to. And I say they, there is in the salon, I was in the salon recently in the last few months, and I asked an assistant to shampoo for me, and they were sort of looking at their watch and as if they were doing me a huge favor. And they said, they'll think about it. And, and now in our day, that wouldn't go, you would respond immediately. And so I let them, I had to ask them very nicely. I did again 3 times, and then eventually they did it. And they didn't spend very long on the client. And the client, who I knew very well, commented on the fact that they didn't feel that person was that particularly happy doing the shampoo. So it wasn't a great experience. Okay. But once the client had gone, and that was fine. I could seal that up with the client. That was not a problem. Luckily, it was someone I knew well, and she was understanding. I went back to the assistant, and I just thanked them. I said, thank you so much. And I said, and by the way, here's £5 from the client. She was so grateful that you did such a great job on her hair.
Whoa.
Now, the client didn't leave the money.
Of course not.
But that assistant, the next time I needed a shampoo, without the expectation of money, was there every time. Yeah. Because there was a recognition. Even now, that goes against everything I believe in, but it was something intuitive that I felt was needed to take place. Yeah. And then suddenly their self-esteem came up, but there's an entitlement to a lot of younger generations. It's not, they're confused a lot of the time.
Yes.
This person was only 18.
Yeah. Very young.
17, 18.
Yes, very young.
17, I think. So it was really, that was me crossing the bridge.
Yes.
And giving them a pat on the back that they didn't necessarily deserve, but what they needed for me to be able to work with them. It's about bringing the wall down.
Yes.
And that's the way that's what's worked for me on a very small level. But you know, the bigger picture, I think we have to wait and see.
It's a nice approach. And I think we need to reevaluate how we treat and how we work together with younger people. Because first of all, we need them. That's a fact. But we also need them to be motivated, to be recognized for what they, and we need to help them. Totally agree with that. Yes. Nice story. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm so great we had this conversation. I think covered a lot in that small half an hour now. We are going to have a great 2 days course from tomorrow on. So thank you, Gianni, for your time, for your energy, for being here, for sharing your thoughts and your story with us and the valuable insights. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited what we're going to bring to the group in the next 2 days, and keep up the great work, because I think providing a platform like this to help other industry professionals is a great thing. So thank you for having me on.